And the industry has a huge demand, like cybersecurity does, for talent. The industry looks to educational institutions to provide that talent, to create a pipeline for them.
How AI is being used specifically around applicant tracking systems when it comes to cybersecurity, especially. Internally, one of the things that I'm noticing as well is a lot of organizations are now hiring internally more than just coming from outside.
This is when they are working on their resume, I think that's the first thing that they need to look for. They need to have the right amount of keywords, the right amount of experience, and more than experience, it's about how you showcase what you've done.
Not all companies use applicant tracking systems. I think it's just larger companies, and we know that everybody needs cybersecurity.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. I'm thrilled to welcome you to this panel discussion called Comparative Insights into Recruitment Trends Across Canada and the Emerging Market. Today, we're going to dive into a conversation that's been it's extremely relevant, especially with what's happening in the world right now. We're going to talk about remote work. We're going to talk about AI-driven hiring and retaining talent. Now, joining today are panelists who bring unique perspectives from Pakistan, India, Canada, and the beauty of this is they've all been traveling all around the world, so they can bring in unique perspectives from different parts of the world. And it's interesting to know that each region faces distinct challenges and opportunities, but there's also a shared urgency to build adaptable, resilient, and inclusive workforces. And so as a moderator, I'm going to guide the discussion across several key themes. The impact of technology, cross-border hiring skill gaps, and how organizations are evolving their strategies. You're going to hear real-world insights, and we welcome your questions. You can just put it into the chat on the right-hand side or left-hand side of me. So we're just going to kick this off right off the bat, and we're just going to dive right into this. And I'm going to throw this off to, I know one of our panelists fell off here, and we're going to try to bring that person on back again. We're going to talk about skills gaps. And what is the biggest skill gaps you see in job applicants in your region? And so we're right now, because this is called Canadian Women in Cybersecurity, we're going to focus in on Canada. Regarding like educational institutions, and especially in your country being Canada here again, do you think they're being aligned with modern workforce demands?
I think that they're trying. The problem is that when the industry has a huge demand, like cybersecurity does, for talent, the industry looks to educational institutions to provide that talent, to create a pipeline for them. But post-secondary education needs people that have the expertise in those areas in order to teach the people that are coming into that area. And so if you've got a skills gap in industry, you're going to have a skills gap in education as well. It's going to take more work to recruit there as well. Not necessarily for the students who want to join that field, but from a ability to offer more space for more students. The fabulous thing about Canada, and specifically in the GTA area, although I know it's across Ontario, is that the community is very dedicated. The cybersecurity community is very dedicated to developing future cybersecurity professionals. And so what we see is that maybe they can't teach long term, maybe they can only be guest speakers, but they do love to give back, and they do love to connect with the future of the industry.
And so for Uzma, for you, and thank you, that's great. And I want to dig a little bit deeper, and that is, Sue, one of the things we've seen is a massive immigration from Pakistan and India to Canada. And I wanted to ask Uzma, because she is sitting in Pakistan, what are the key factors that's driving talent to migrate from Pakistan or from Asia to our region, to Canada? Is it salaries, career progression? Is it something else? And has that continued, or is that slowing down as well?
All right. So it is continued. Thank you so much, Mahdi, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this. So the thing is that it's a career progression. So of course, people at the industry in Canada or the other region rather than the Pakistan are quite advanced in this particular technologies and digitization. So that is one of the key reasons for the career progression, to learn, to upgrade their skill set. So that is the reason the people are moving outside Pakistan.
Moving outside Pakistan. Yeah, no, that's important. And I know, Vandana, we got you back here from straight from India, Bangalore, one of my favorite places in the world. How are you doing, Vandana? Are you back? We're good?
Yeah, we are all good. I don't know what happened. Maybe the demagogues or the internet didn't seem to support. Sorry about that.
No, totally fine. So I know you've been traveling all around. You were at JISEC, you were at RSA. So you're in the last 30 days, you've been able to see and feel and hear from so many people. So here's a question for you. How has remote work or hybrid work reshaped the recruitment landscape? Like, are companies now hiring globally? Are they pulling back from, to local talent, especially when it comes to India? But what's happening when it comes to the recruitment landscape?
In my perspective, when it comes to remote or hybrid work, it has actually fundamentally changed the way we think about way of life, to be very candid. Because now it's more about we making sure that we have things taken care at home, as well as we are more working towards the work side as well. But when it comes to going back to work, for some of the companies, which are big companies, they've started asking people to come to work at least once a day. Especially if I talk about Bangalore and seeing the traffic, we make sure that at least just one day people come to office so that we can connect with everyone and get to know each other. But in general, if let's say talk about myself, the company that I work for, they're totally comfortable in making me work from home. So companies are actually leveraging remote work to tap into a diverse talent pool, especially in tech and cybersecurity roles. Because before pandemic, I never thought that I'll be completely remote, especially in a cybersecurity role. So when it comes to skills and location and everything, I think it's totally amazing the way companies are handling. And even if you have to go to work, you don't have to go 5 days, which used to be the case before 2020. And now they just want you to be in office maybe 1 day or 2 days.
And I got a question that's just come up, and it was a question that I was actually going to lead into. So, Rabia, thank you for this question. And I'm going to open it up to the panelists, but I would love Uzma's reaction first, because from a recruitment standpoint, and that is regarding applicant tracking systems. Now, when it comes to, especially with AI and the way they're looking at these resumes, whether the English is maybe off or not, or there's a certain formatting issue, or it's scoring people on certain things. Uzma, can you tell us a little bit about how AI is being used specifically around applicant tracking systems when it comes to cybersecurity, especially?
Okay, so AI is quite advanced now. So it's not working only on one board, right? There are multiple boards, and it's not only limited to the one structure. So there's no limitation if you will share your resume. It is according to that region. They will just evaluate you according to the JD, job descriptions, and the questions. Which, if I talk about the SAP RCM, I'm sure many of you heard about it. So if you use that one, so it easily drop the resume that matches to the criteria according to the JD, according to the questions which a recruiter asked from the candidate for the pre-screening purposes. It landed in the recruiter inbox then and there directly. So ATS is quite advanced now, and there is no limitation, because we all know that AI is doing a remarkable job in the world.
And so I'm going to get to you, Sue, in just a second. Vandana, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question to that. Internally, one of the things that I'm noticing as well is a lot of organizations are now hiring internally, more than just coming from outside. This is one thing I'm seeing. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But from your perspective, what advice could you give to the thousands of viewers that are watching today, how to navigate being external, dealing with an internal issue? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't really do anything about it, but what can they do? What are some added advice that you can give to those trying to look for roles or be demotivated by these internal roles that are being filled?
I think first of all, when I talk about these internal roles being filled and someone externally who wants to join a company, uh, when they are working on their resume, I think that's the first thing that they need to look for. They need to have the right amount of keywords, the right amount of experience, and more than experience, it's about how you showcase what you've done. A lot of times, what I've seen people, especially with their resume, either they overdo it or they underdo it. So they need to understand that if that, let's say they are putting 5 keywords there, they should know about that, because that's where I think things never fall in place. I have hired people in the past and it was a big challenge. They talk too many things about in the resume, and suddenly you see that they just know overview of it, or they know about things but they undersell it. So when it comes to recruiters or when it comes to internal leadership, they never find that resume interesting. So I think before even thinking about internal roles being filled, we need to create our strong case on what we know, what experience we have, and especially our community engagement experience. That also matters a lot.
Sue, anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is not all companies use applicant tracking systems. I think it's just larger companies. And we know that everybody needs cybersecurity. And then for how to navigate for internal, when you're seeing a lot of internal hires, is do you have someone on the inside of that company that you can reach out to say, hey, I'm applying for this position. Would you mind sending the recruiter a note? Because the person that's internal, they already know what they're getting. They know that person, they know that person's work ethic. You're an unknown if you're an external. And so having that connection from somebody else who's already in the organization that they already trust is going to push your resume a little bit further.
I love that. I love that. And I tell people all the time, LinkedIn is your greatest asset because it allows you to quickly find out either your 1 degree of separation or 2 degrees of separation. Uzma, back to you on the same sort of question. Is there any additional advice you can give to people that are looking for positions that are, losing out because a lot of internal hiring is happening?
So there are, if I talk about the digitization industry, specifically cybersecurity, ERP systems, SAP, so there is a resource crunch already. Not only Pakistan, it's a globally also. So it's very difficult to get hold of these people. So if I talk about the particular industry, so there is no such internal, promotion or internal filling that thing. So we first have to, I always use one word that is campus to corporate, right? So we have to align with the campuses within Pakistan and outside Pakistan also. We have to introduce the curriculum which we need to teach. It's a time of need now that we have to develop our talent pool in that way that they can, compete in the market. So that is one of the reasons. So in particular in the digitization world, in the geek world, there is no internal filling so far.
Interesting. And Vandana, you were just in at JISEC, and for those that want to know, JISEC is, I believe, probably the outside of RSA, the largest cybersecurity conference in the world. It happens in the Middle East, and it brings in hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world. You're seeing a trend. I'm assuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of talent moving to the Middle East. There's this outcry of, how do I get into the Middle East? Based on you being there, would you recommend it, number one, for those that want to immigrate from Canada or even Asia to the Middle East? And number two, what are some of the things that they can do, best practices to be able to land a position securely and not, even be scammed maybe potentially?
Especially when it comes to movement, I think I see the place as one of the safest place to be in. And when it comes to opportunities, it's filled with opportunities. Personally, because I have my friends there who are working in different cybersecurity companies or tech companies per se. So that's a great place to be in. And another thing that I have to say is that when you're moving from anywhere, first make sure you land a job. And when you mention that land a job securely, you're not getting scammed, so go through the right channels. For example, when I got my the current job, I was not actually anticipating they would ever reach out to me, or there is something that exists sort of, or this kind of a role exists, so I was not sure. So I had to reach out to people, ask about it, and then I actually started the conversations about the job. So similarly, when you're actually looking out in any country, it's not just Middle East but any country, the first thing that you should do is look out for the company, look out for the people who are working there, and then see with the kind of culture that is there whether this is something which you're opting for. Because when it comes to the roles, I am sure there are ample of roles which are open in cybersecurity in every part of the world, because we have resource crunch, or we are not finding the right people who fits the bill. So I think it's very important that we look out for the companies, people who know about the roles, and if they can give you some suggestions as well before moving. Like, even if I have to move cities, I would generally ask for sure.
Ask around, find out information. And one of the things for the viewers here in North America, we have an aging population versus into the Middle East and Asia, you have a young booming population. So hence the reason why this shift that's happening in the world right now. I'm going to go back to, there's a couple of questions that have come into the chat, and I think they're very important as well. There were some questions that I was going to leave to the end, but I did want to, and I want to take a different angle to DTC, who put this chat in. And that was, I've heard that some companies, recruiters are seeing more bots, AI applicants than real humans. This is the barrier for orgs as well. Networking relationship building has been my hack into the industry. Other than networking and relationship building, which is obviously probably the greatest thing you can do, how do you overcome the AI world of recruitment and filtering and resumes and that whole world that's now getting automated? And I'll take that to Uzma first. What is something that pops up other than, their resume, I guess, and it's been filtered and it looks good and it checkmarked green and it gives you a high score?
All right, so I think human interaction, it's not only to AI. So you might cheat to the AI ATS, right? But human interaction is very mandatory. So after you receive the resume, maybe through AI, you have to do the pre-screening call, either virtually or over the phone. That is a mandatory step, I must say. And secondly, when you get the chance to talk to the person, and the LinkedIn, as initially you mentioned about the LinkedIn, that you will find the all type of resources over there very easily. So on LinkedIn, you have to do your branding, right? So that is also very important. So once we receive a CV resume, right, and if we have to tap the person on the LinkedIn, and we can see what activities, which certification he have, because though people lie on the LinkedIn, majority of them. So that is one of the reasons if you have to cross the ATS, but the human interaction is very important.
Social presence is very important. I say this all the time. I teach, I say this, I speak to people. I always say, right down to my son, social presence is more important. Every time people Google your name, have a website. This is to you, Sue. And it's another question that's come in. And you probably come across this, and we all come across this. And I would love to hear from Vandana and Syeda as well, Uzma very well, as quickly as well. And that is, the number one challenge people face is experience. They're like, I have zero experience. I've studied, went to university, college, et cetera, et cetera. How does someone prepare their resume? So specifically around their resume is where I'm taking this, with zero experience or no experience. Sue?
So I think that if you don't have work experience, you can highlight the skills that you developed in the courses that you took, highlight the projects that you worked on, put those above. You still want to have your work experience down. So you worked at a fast food restaurant or you worked at a retail store, put that down as well. That shows an employer that you've worked before, that you have some hopefully some level of maturity beyond just having been to school. So some sort of work ethic there beyond just having somebody say, this is due, this is due, this is due. And so having those things down, I think, is key.
Love it. Anyone else would like to throw us, Uzma or Vandana, on what you could do with your resume if it has zero experience?
I think mostly students who are in the final year, they used to do the internship, right? And they also used to do the CSR activities. There's projects also which they have to do. So they have to mention all these things on their resume. That is important. This will help the recruiter to evaluate you according to your CSR, and this is how you can land into any organization.
Amazing. Vandana?
Yeah, I would say first of all, like as you mentioned, that we need to highlight our skills. It's very important to highlight the skills because if we do not highlight our skills, we would never be on the edge. Even if it's an AI screening, they would not select us because we would not be putting in the right words. And then when it comes to the work, see, you're a fresher, you don't have any actual work, so you should show your academic work, whether it's project work, whether it's anything that you've done in that area. It's very important. Like if I have to pick a fresher for cybersecurity role, I would look out for the kind of work they've done in this area as a maybe in an open source community that they have done work, or maybe using open source tools they've made something out of it. So that's something I would totally look out for, and academic projects are really good to showcase. Another thing is that I would want to check what their technical skills are or soft skills are. And I can brush up on technical skills, but I can never brush up on the soft skills. So I would want to know what kind of soft skills they have. Um, Certifications are a good way, and I'm not a big fan of like the paid certifications. So for freshers, there are so many free certifications which are there, whether it's on these learning websites or via these open source forums that are there. So that's totally a win-win. And another thing Uzma mentioned about extracurricular activities or the volunteer work, I would really look out for the volunteer work. That actually stands out because if you're doing such kind of activities, I think you are a person who would be a good team player as well.
I love it. These are such good advices, and I'll just throw in my 2 rupees into this as well. And that is try Hack Me or any of these other sites that allow you to jump on and show your technical expertise. That's people are loving that. And there's no excuse not to use something like that. Another one that I tell a lot of young people is create your own website, create your portfolio, show your skill. If you don't know how to build, if you don't know how to code and create websites, there's so many templates out there that you can build and put all your things on there. Talk about what you're doing. I think that also helps with the fact that you have no experience. When someone Googles you, they see, well, wait a minute, this person has experience in the real world. I'm going to move over. We got a few minutes left, but I did want to talk about something called DEI. And in Canada, one of the most important things that has been affected in the last little bit with political things that are changing in the United States, DEI is starting to take a little bit of effect. But when it comes to Pakistan and India, I want to kind of focus in on DEI over there. Does it exist? Does it not exist? So I'll start off with Uzma first. DEI, have you ever heard of it? And does it exist in Pakistan or does it not?
Yes. It exists in Pakistan. It's gaining momentum. And it's not only limited to the women in the market domain field. We are now including the people with disability also. So there are many organizations who are working for the people who are differently abled, but they wanted them to bring in the mainstream. So in Pakistan, we are doing almost 99% to bring these people, these individuals into our society.
And for you, Sue, how do you think cultural norms, and I know it's a loaded question, and DEI policies influence hiring practices in Canada? Because as you said right now, Uzma just mentioned, people with disabilities, we've now started including that. And I know in Canada, we've included that for quite some time. But do you see like differences in cultural norms when it comes to DEI?
Yeah, I think the policies are in place for all of the companies in Canada. The laws are in place to say everybody must have equal opportunities. But like you said, Mahdi, it's the cultural norms. I love to reference the TV show The Big Bang Theory. I'm not sure who's familiar with it, but it's a great show, very funny. But if we think about that, the two female scientists are both in biology.
Good
The male scientists and the engineer are all, first of all, they're all men, and second of all, they are all in the quote unquote hard sciences. And so that idea gets perpetuated in media. There's a really terrible Barbie story that I'm going to tell you. And that is that in the early 2000s, around 2010, I want to say, there was a book published by Mattel for Barbie. And it was, I'm going to be a software engineer. And then it was all about how Barbie designed everything, but she needed a man to actually code it. And that was in 2010.
Wow.
So the work is started, but we're so far from equity. I know in Pakistan and in India, the gender parity is much closer to equal than it is in Canada.
Fascinating. Someone's probably wondering, going, wait a minute, did she just say that? And it's actually, it's very, very true. And you would be blown away based on what Sue just said. Anyhow, I know we have a couple of minutes left. And I did want to ask a question. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for spending the time with us here. I know the timing is crazy as well, especially for Pakistan and India, and we wish you all the best over there. But I wanted to ask a question before we wrap up, and I'd love to hear one sentence takeaway from each of you on what's one key insight or prediction about the future of recruitment in your region or globally that can help prepare those that are listening for what's about to come. I'll start off with Vandana, with you first.
Make sure when it comes to getting a new role, you prepare your resume right for it. Even if it means that you modify your resume for every role that you are submitting for, and go for it. Do not think about it that it's the role that does not suit you. Even if it's something which you're looking for, make sure you have it right.
That's so important, Vandana, because I find a lot of people, they just have these 4 resumes and they just boom, 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 just all the time. And we know that in today's world, being a little bit different and customizing a little bit makes a huge difference. So that's amazing. Uzma, to you, any insights or?
Yeah. So final takeaway is that the future of recruitment will be hybrid. TK powered by tech, personalized by culture, and led by purpose. So I think having a purpose in life is very important. And it is my final words that everybody who is listening to me right now find the right purpose and find the job which is which matches your purpose actually.
So important. That is so important. You got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, then when you wake up in the morning, you won't be happy. That's amazing. Sue, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to come from Pakistan and India right back to Canada, take Lester B. Pearson Airport, right to you to give the final statement representing Canada. What is one key insight that you would like to give for the future of recruitment and any advice?
So I think that building on what Uzma said about, everybody's looking for the balance. And if we want to retain the talent that is coming into cybersecurity, we need to give them better balance than what they've had traditionally at least in the North America market.
Amazing. And I'll take 30 seconds here and I'll give you my advice. And that is, I think the world that we live in where everything's fast, go, go, go. One of the things we don't get to do is take a moment to reflect and pause. And I recommend everyone every day, take 5 minutes, turn on a timer on your phone and then throw away the phone and just sit there and reflect and pause. And one of the things you do in that is about exactly what all the panelists have said, which is how do you find purpose? How do you find balance? And how do you find something that you actually want to do and love to do? I want to thank Sue, Uzma, Vandana, for spending the time with us. Thank you very much for making Canadian women in cybersecurity special. We hope you learned a lot from them. You can more than welcome to message them on LinkedIn. It's available on our platform. Thank you again, everyone, and continue to watch the amazing shows and panels that we have coming up. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.